would just like to say that we had a young woman earlier who spoke a little bit about uncertainty. She mentioned she had some children in the schools. For those of you that don't know, I live in the district. I have 2 young daughters who are not quite of school age yet, but will be soon. So obviously this is important to me personally. You know, the whole issue of uncertainty, whether you're running a school district, a business, anything, uncertainty is a big problem because you can't plan for anything when there is so much uncertainty. And unfortunately here we have quite a bit. You know, with respect to future levies and what happens, I think that, and I'm not a levy expert, but I believe any levy, as far as the way the ballot works and when you can collect, any levy would have to be passed sometime in 2011 for the proceeds to come in 2012. Does that sound approximately right? So the reason for me making these comments is that, in my estimation, just my own personal estimation, there's probably not that many opportunities left to pass a levy and be able to collect the money and be able to borrow enough funds to stay solvent for much longer. Now, probably for the next, through what we've looked at, sometime maybe in early 2013, so it'd be the 2012-2013 school year. It's based upon a number of variables, what the state does, what the state has. As Matt mentioned earlier, the state definitely does not have a pot of gold that they can help us out with. So unfortunately, there still is uncertainty. On the other hand, I think that whatever resolution is going to come about, whatever it is, will come, and it will come sometime probably in the next year or so, because, as I mentioned earlier, I think we're probably looking at only a couple of attempts to pass a levy next year, and hopefully one of those levies will pass, and that will fix our struggles. But if we don't pass one in 2011, I think we're going to reach our borrowing capacity, which is probably going to be ratcheted down by the state. If the budget, you know, if the governor cuts our budget by 20%, which the state has an $8 to $11 billion deficit, 20% may be a reasonable amount if you were to cut every department of the state. That further lowers our borrowing capacity. And right now we have $5 million. We've got that note that was called. We've got to come up with another $2 million. So currently I believe our borrowing capacity is $9 million, and we're basically at $7 million. And that's at the funding level we have today. So as our state allocation shrinks, our ability to borrow shrinks, and the time that we have to pass a levy also shrinks. So, you know, with respect to uncertainty, I feel that I was very disappointed that the levy did not pass. I think that Sean passed out some results of the prior levies. The one thing you can say is that the most recent levy was the closest. 310 or 360 votes is what it was defeated by. 290. You know, I will say that when I sort of got involved with the commission, my hope was that people would see that the district was fiscally responsible, that they were prudent with their funding, and that they're doing a good job. You could see that in the general metrics, whether it's spending per pupil, their rating. So I really didn't have much of a doubt that once we got into things that indeed it was going to be a revenue problem. And I hope that the commission would sort of confirm to some of the public that was on the fence that that was the case. So what I see when I look at these election results is that indeed the gap is closed, but as everyone knows, it still wasn't quite enough. So my own hope is that we do pass a levy that will get us to show a positive cash balance within the 5-year time frame in order to get out of fiscal emergency. But I think the truth of the matter is that the time to do such is running out, and it's running out because the way the funding works when you collect your levy dollars and the amount that we're going to be able to borrow based upon whatever the funding formula looks like here over the next couple months.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
of course.
Go ahead, please.
To echo on a couple of things that Mark mentioned, and again, in case anybody doesn't know, I've lived in the district for 12 years now. I have a daughter who's in the 9th grade, and a daughter who's in the 5th grade. A 5th grade daughter who gets a couple minutes a week, maybe, to go to the library. Maybe. I have, you know, we all are facing these challenges. In the comments that were made earlier, of course, each speaker said some things that really stuck with me. The First Lady that spoke talked about, we got to find a new way to fund schools. That's right. But I'm tired of hearing people say, I'm going to vote against the levy to send a message. You're not sending a message. If you want to send a message to our state representatives, you call them up and you say, fix it or I don't vote for you next time. How many people in this room, I don't need to show a hand, but how many of these people in this room have voted for the same state rep over and over who's never addressed or tried to resolve this problem? You have to look beyond this district. This district cannot fix all of the woes. The district has to exist within the framework that it has before us. I understand the uncertainties. We all are going to face these uncertainties, but one of the things that we all have to do is we all have to take some personal responsibility, and we all have to take some community responsibility. We've got to be willing to step outside our comfort zones. We've got to try some different things. Yes, maybe that's open enrollment. What do you got to lose? Maybe that's, I've had some people ask me, what can I do? If you got a computer, go online, go to the Board of Elections, find out which of your neighbors are not registered to vote. I thought I heard somewhere that we've got about 1,000 parents of kids in our schools who are not registered to vote. Find out who is registered to vote but didn't go vote. Contact them, urge them, get them out there, get some help. Every person has the ability to do that, even if it's just on a small scale. And of course, make sure you vote. I was shocked. I talked to 6 people. 2 of them had signs in the yards to support the levy. 6 people who did not vote in November. They were busy, work was long, they were tired, they didn't get to vote. There's no reason for people not to vote. That message has to get out. That's a matter of personal responsibility and community responsibility. We're in a hole. The way out of the hole is one step at a time. We tried to hit a few home runs to get all the way out at once, and it didn't work. Now we got to get out one step at a time. It's going to be long. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. Some people are going to have to do some things, make some cuts they never thought they were going to have to make before. But I believe that if everybody does share the responsibility, we can keep moving and we'll be just fine. But that's the challenge. I mean, of all of the amens in the congregation and the applause and whatever else, that's got to go beyond just this meeting and just this room. You all are out here. You all heard things. You got to go take the message out there. You've got to talk to your neighbors and tell them, you know, that we're in a crisis situation. And as we pointed out, we're going to have a small window of time to try to fix this. And the longer it takes, and that's why I wanted that note, the longer it takes, the hole only gets deeper. So we've got to move forward, and that's our challenge. I think for this commission, that's the challenge we face, and I'm confident that everybody in the commission is going to keep an open mind and do their best to try to meet the mandates that the state has put on us and still preserve the excellence of this community and the school system.
Go ahead.
I have a question for Sean, if you can help me out on this. I think there was something that was incorrectly stated in the Pulse Journal last week. I just want to try to clarify it. Teachers' health care benefits for Little Miami, who pays?
For a family insurance plan, there's a $4,000 deductible. So the high deductible plans and the health savings account is becoming more and more common. Little Miami was actually one of the first ones to go to back in 2007. So the $4,000 deductible. Teachers are responsible for $3,000 of that. That's their share of the insurance. So basically, the first $3,000 out of pocket they have to come up with in a given calendar year.
So, because it was stated that the board pays for teachers' health care benefits.
Or pay for the premiums, they have to pay the deductible.
Yeah.
It just sounded, I mean, the way it was written sort of sounded, because the article was somewhat, I thought, biased and not really true to fact on school funding. So I think when we can clarify facts that are presented that way, I think it helps benefits the school district that and I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening, because I think you're coming here to get the facts and not the rumors, because I've heard lots of rumors. Continue to come and get the facts and ask questions. I think that's the best way.
And to your point on the health savings account, basically the way those are set up is that you have lower premiums because you have that higher deductible plan. Now, if you look at some of the area districts, their monthly premiums might be 50% higher than ours. We went through the performance audit last year. Our premiums were anywhere from 28 to 43% below the averages that the state had put out from CERB and from OEA. So basically, that high deductible plan is designed to have those lower premiums. And like I said, there are districts, I won't name any names, but there are districts who are spending 50% higher per month than we are on premiums in this area. So the plan, the high deductible plan is an effective way to save costs, to keep costs lower. That's something that's been pretty common in the private sector and the business world. And it's been pretty effective for the district too.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody the last several meetings for coming here, for your interest, showing your interest and support for the school district. I especially honor your respect and decorum during these meetings. For not letting it get out of hand and allowing us to carry out our business. I really appreciate that. I understand your frustration. You want answers. We want answers as well. The district didn't get here overnight. We're not going to solve the problems overnight. We can't sit here as a commission and boldly make statements that we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this and that without really studying them, discussing them with the administration, finding out what's best for the district. That's why we've given directives to the superintendent and treasurer to come back to us with various plans that we can discuss. One of the most gut-wrenching directives we've given is tell us what it takes to get the state minimum standards. But we need to know those. We need to know those facts. We need to know what kind of savings that they can give us so that we can start this process of getting you back to good financial health. Dan says he needs to know this in the next week or so. I agree with Dan, and I pledged to him earlier that we'll do everything we can with the State Department to sit down and help him determine what those state minimum standards are and what those benchmarks are, so that he can come back to us at the next meeting, give them to us, and also be prepared to relay to staff or personnel who possibly could be losing jobs at the end of the year. Getting them down to state standards is going to take a lot of thought. We do not want to go below state standards, obviously. So that's why, again, I'm apologizing. We don't have any definitive answers now, but we just can't make off-the-cuff comments or decisions that may sound good today but don't work tomorrow. So, again, thank you so much for your patience and your interest in the district. The next meeting, rather than ask everybody, I'm setting for December 16th, 4 o'clock. We're going to have representatives from the State Department of Education here. They're going to go over and discuss the benchmark report, which is a comparison of this district to other like districts and so on, and we'll answer questions. 16th, yes. At that meeting, we also should have information from Dan and Sean, and we can start debating a little bit on that stuff. So I see that as an important meeting, and hope to see you all there and 4 p.m. And I hope you all come back to this. Sure. Yes, these are public meetings. Yes, ma'am.
All from me.
Okay. Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved.